In November 2004, somewhere off the coast of Southern California, a routine training rotation turned into one of the strangest and most consequential encounters in modern naval history. What unfolded over the course of a few days would be recorded, argued over, buried, leaked, and finally, in part, admitted by the Pentagon. This wasn't a story told by conspiracy theorists in dark corners of the internet. This was documented by fighter pilots with thousands of flight hours, tracked by the most sophisticated radar systems on Earth, witnessed by dozens of highly trained military personnel. And then, someone tried to make it all disappear. Tonight, we reopen that file. This is the Nimitz encounter. The USS Nimitz was more than a ship. It was a floating fortress. Nearly 1,100 feet long, home to over 5,000 sailors and aviators, and equipped with technology capable of tracking a bird at 200 miles. This wasn't just military hardware. This was America's projection of power, discipline, and control. On the bridge, in the radar rooms, and on the flight deck, routines ran like clockwork. Every maneuver, every flight path, every blip on the screen had been practiced 1,000 times. But for nearly 6 days, leading up to November 14th, one clock kept striking wrong. Sir, contacts again. Multiple. Altitude showing 80,000 feet, now dropping. Rate of descent? Instantaneous, sir. From 80,000 to sea level in less than a second. It's like they're dropping from space. System glitch. We reset the equipment yesterday. We thought that on day 1, ran diagnostics twice. The objects showed up even more vividly after the system reset. But it keeps repeating. Same time window, same behavior. At first, they assumed equipment error, a sensor blip, atmospheric interference, maybe even classified testing from another branch. They were even told to check if their systems were in ballistic missile tracking mode, as that may have been the only way to effectively track the contacts. But glitches don't return like appointments. Glitches don't perform evasive maneuvers that outpace every known aircraft in the Pacific Fleet. Glitches don't move like they're being guided. Sir, whatever this is, it keeps coming back. It's appearing in clusters, then disappearing, then reappearing 60 miles away. Log it, and keep tracking. Do not alert the Nimitz crew yet. Keep this quiet. Orders came down from the USS Princeton, the Aegis cruiser coordinating air operations. The language was terse: investigate, identify. If necessary, intercept. No threat assessment, no profile. Just coordinates and a quiet urgency that told the pilots this wasn't a drill. Copy that, Princeton. We'll check it out. Commander David Fravor was no rookie. A Top Gun graduate with over 16 years of flight experience, he'd flown combat missions and knew the difference between equipment failure and something real. His wingman, Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich, was equally seasoned. Together, they launched into clean morning air. 2 FA-18 Super Hornets cutting through the sky at 400 knots. Princeton says they've been tracking these objects for days. They were told they were targeting a wave on the scope. Objects, plural. They didn't tell us about this in the morning briefing. Multiple. High-altitude drops. No filed flight plans. Capabilities unknown. And we're going in clean. No live ordnance. Copy. Eyes open. I have a bad feeling about this, Dave. Below them, the Pacific stretched endlessly, an ocean that could swallow a carrier group without a trace. The instruments were clear. Weather conditions, perfect. Visibility, unlimited. Yet on radar, something was very, very wrong. The USS Princeton had to take direct control of their jets, diverting them from their routine training exercise to direct them towards the anomaly. As the jets descended towards the target area, the pilots expected to find a rogue surface vessel, maybe a weather balloon, perhaps an off-course aircraft. What they found instead defied every assumption. "We're on station. I've got something on the surface. Water disturbance." "Can you identify?" "Negative. It's not a ship. The ocean's boiling. Looks like something massive just beneath the surface. The churned area is about the size of a Boeing 737. The water below them churned violently, frothing white against the blue. Waves radiated outward as if something enormous was moving just beneath, something big enough to displace tons of water. But sonar showed nothing. Instruments registered no hull, no submarine, no contact. Wait, I've got visual on something above the disturbance." There, hovering maybe 50 feet above the churning water, was an object. It was white, perfectly smooth, oval-shaped, roughly 40 feet long. No wings, no tail, no cockpit canopy, no visible engines, intakes, or exhaust. It simply hung in the air, motionless, as if suspended by an invisible thread. "It's not like anything I've ever seen." "I see it too. What the hell is that? It's smooth, matte white, like a flying tic-tac. And it's moving erratically, like when you drop a phone and it bounces off the counter. No predictable movement, no predictable trajectory." The object didn't vibrate. It didn't wobble. It wasn't obeying the normal rules of aerodynamics. It was just there, watching. Fravor made a decision. He banked hard, descending in a controlled intercept spiral, a classic fighter maneuver designed to close distance while maintaining tactical advantage. And that's when the object responded. "It's mirroring me." The object began to move. Not erratically, but with eerie precision. It matched Fravor's descent, his speed, his angle, pitch for pitch, roll for roll, as if it were reading his mind or his controls before he even moved them. It's not reacting, it's anticipating. For a few surreal seconds, pilot and object circled each other, two entities locked in a silent, impossible dance. Fravor pushed his jet harder, trying to gain position. The object stayed with him, effortlessly. He was within half a mile of the craft when it decided the game was over. It was playing with me. I know how that sounds, but that's what it felt like. And then, without warning, it was gone. No acceleration, no heat signature, no sonic boom. The object simply blinked out of existence, like someone had flipped a switch. It accelerated away with unfathomable, hypersonic velocity. "Nimitz, Princeton, contact reacquired. It's back." "Where?" "At your Cappy point, 60 miles north, your pre-planned destination." Let that sink in. The object didn't just move, it didn't chase, it didn't flee. It appeared exactly where Fravor's flight plan said he would be in 10 minutes. Not where he had been, not where he was, where he would be. It anticipated his future position, a rendezvous point known only to the pilots and the carrier group. How did it know? A second flight launched shortly after, this time equipped with a forward-looking infrared camera, the FLIR system designed to track heat signatures and record high-resolution targeting footage. Lieutenant Commander Chad Underwood was at the controls. "Princeton, I've got a radar contact matching your coordinates." "Roger. Proceed with recording." Underwood locked onto the object with his targeting system. The footage that followed would become one of the most analyzed, debated, and scrutinized pieces of evidence in modern UFO history. The video showed a smooth, rotating object, moving against the wind at incredible speed. It showed no heat plume, no exhaust trail, and no visible means of propulsion. It violated the basic principles of aerodynamics and propulsion. And then, just like before, it accelerated off-screen, faster than the camera could track. When we analyzed the footage frame by frame, there was no detectable heat signature, no jet wash, no bow wave in the air. It was as if the object wasn't interacting with the atmosphere at all. The physics simply didn't add up. The flight characteristics were impossible, and yet dozens of people had seen it, recorded it, tracked it on multiple independent systems. They're laughing at us. Let them. We know what we saw. For Commander Fravor and Lieutenant Commander Dietrich, the incident was immediately met with a mixture of awe and mockery. They were seasoned pilots, Top Gun graduates, yet they found themselves reporting something straight out of science fiction. Dietrich later recalled the unsettling feeling of realizing they had gone up completely unarmed against a technology that could outmaneuver the best aircraft on Earth. I felt the vulnerability of not having anything to defend ourselves. It changes how you feel about control. The USS Princeton radar crew, however, was terrified. For days they had tracked objects descending at impossible speeds, a capability that defied foreign military technology and American secrecy alike. The objects exhibited low observable characteristics, effectively rendering U.S. radar engagement capabilities useless. This wasn't just a threat to our training, this was a national security question. If they could drop from 80,000 feet to the water in an instant, what could they do to our ships? When the jets returned to the Nimitz, they brought back more than footage. They brought questions that made people nervous. And within hours, visitors arrived. Who are they? No idea. No insignia. Civilian clothes. But they've got clearance. They're here for the data. Men in suits moved through the ship with single-minded purpose. No introductions, no explanations. They went straight to the radar rooms, the server bays, the flight data storage. They specifically asked for the digital and physical evidence. They collected every tape, every hard drive, every piece of physical media related to the encounters. They took everything, told us nothing, just said it was classified and to keep our mouths shut. All the initial documentation was gone. The official line would later be vague. Radar malfunction, training artifact, no confirmed contact. But the men who were there, the pilots, the radar operators, the technicians, they all remembered the same thing, an abrupt, methodical takeover of evidence, an insistence that this incident stay buried. It was like it never happened, officially, but we all knew what we saw. For the men and women of the Nimitz carrier strike group, the encounter lingered. It wasn't something you could unsee. Pilots found their official reports altered or missing. Footage disappeared into classified vaults, and the people who saw it were told, sometimes politely, sometimes firmly, to forget. You don't forget something like that. It changes how you see the world. Outside the ship, months passed in silence. Internally, debates raged. Was it national security? Foreign technology? A breakthrough from China or Russia? The 2009 analysis compiled by multiple agencies confirmed the Nimitz group had several interactions with AAVs, anomalous aerial vehicles, or something else entirely, something that didn't fit into any comfortable category. Whatever it wasn't ours. For over a decade, the Nimitz encounter was a ghost story, whispered about in pilot lounges and online forums, but never confirmed. Then, in December 2017, everything changed. The footage leaked. The New York Times published a bombshell investigation, and the world finally saw what the Navy had tried to bury. The Pentagon confirms the video is real, but says the objects remain unidentified. Engineers analyzed the footage. Physicists ran the numbers. Former officials came forward. And slowly, reluctantly, the Pentagon acknowledged what it could no longer deny. Something had been in the sky that day. Something that defied explanation. As of 2020, the Department of Defense continues to characterize the event as unidentified. What we know is precise and unsettling. Trained pilots encountered a craft. Equipment corroborated their sightings. Footage exists that defies conventional explanation. And parts of the official record remain sealed. The objects exhibited movement that suggests possible speeds up to 45,000 miles per hour and instantaneous drops of over 60,000 feet. What we don't know is arguably more dangerous. The origin, the intention, the full capabilities. Was it foreign technology? An experimental drone from a rival power, or something that doesn't belong to any nation on Earth? I know what I saw, and I know it wasn't ours. The Nimitz encounter remains one of the most credible, well-documented and unnerving chapters in the history of unidentified aerial phenomena. A craft that predicted motion. A craft that defied gravity. A craft no nation has claimed. Something was in the sky that day, and it's still out there. If you want us to reopen another classified file, tell us which one we should investigate next.